Greetings, Gary, this is Aridif, that is L-I-D-I-F, and this is it spelled. We understand you have many queries for this evening, but before diving into those queries, we must express one concept in our own perception above all things, of the utmost importance, that you are loved. We express this concept knowing that not only our own love comes to you, but also the universe around, what is created from energy source, is made from that same love. And if you desire to accept it, all of the love available in the universe is at your fingertips. And we thank you. Yes, you may begin your queries at your leisure.
Okay. Through early childhood and also when I was in the service, I've had encountered with at least 11 different species. And I've been told it's been over 30, 40 encounters. I wonder if you can expand on those.
Yes, and what specific area do you wish us to expand? What races you are connecting with, perhaps?
Exactly. Which races?
Yes, there are a great deal of races that have connected with you both physically and non-physically. If the physical concepts are the most exciting to you, those are the ones we will walk through first.
Okay.
Yes. First of all, you understand there are three different types of grey entities. And the grey is the classification that most humans perceive as grey entities, or the beings that most refer to when associating that energy with the Zeta Reticuli beings. But these are a type of humanoid beings that do not fully share the features of the human face or version with you, and in that variety there are three different races. One of those are from the Zeta Reticuli greys. Also, others are hybrids from the greys. One race specifically is a grey and human hybrid. They take on the physical characteristics more so of the greys than that of the humans. The third grey race are a group of entities that lie in the Wesen star system. This star is one that is within the dog constellation of yours. So within this area of consciousness, these three are the ones that are the grey beings that are connected to you. There are also avian race that is connected with you, that is very connected to humanity. These entities are of a very grey, blue, and green variety of colors, multiple colors within their own skin system that you would perceive more so as feathers, that are deeply and intimately connected to you. There are also reptilian hybrid beings that are connected to you. These entities are more so as Treb Bor Yit NE's race, more of the entity that is humanoid mixed with an animal that is reptilian in nature. These entities are not associated with the Alpha Draconian or human reptilian beings. You have also connected to many different humanoid races, four that we can perceive in a physical way. Those are the entities that have most of the energy that are in accordance to yourself. Within these four humanoid races, there are entities that, in your perception, are from the Pleaidian system. There are also humanoid entities from the Syrian system. There are also entities from the Andromedan system, and one that perhaps you would call the Elohim race. These are the majority, but there are many more that have connected to you physically. Some have come within your own range or area of comfort, but some have connected to you from afar, more so energetically than physically, but did manifest their physical selves into your reality. Those are the ones that we are seeing that still have connections to your energy in this now moment. Now, when you look in the non-physical spectrum, even more entities are connected. You have many different races that are insectoid, that are connecting to. One of these entities are in the appearance structure of the mantids. There are another insectoid race that is very similar to the entities that you would call ant people. You are also connected to an entity that carries no version of something that you would understand as an insect, but by human mindset it would be classified in that insectoid energy. So all of those different entities have worked with you non-physically, as well as dozens of different humanoid versions also many what you would perceive as humanoid-ish versions, such as ourselves. We are not classified in your spectrum by any one idea, although most humans would perceive our face, perceive the structure of our face, and call us a blue humanoid. There are also many features that are not similar, such as our legs, such as our own feet, etc. So in all of those areas we are dealing with entities that have no classification for you and come in a great different amount of spectrums of energy and physical makeup. We are also dealing with entities that are very reptilian in nature. Although they are connected to the Alpha Draconian race, they are not part of that type 2 energy. They are more so benevolent type 2, but gaining closer access to the type 1 energy. So all of these different races have connected with you, and there is a great deal of underlying reasons for that if you desire to go into those.
Yes, I would.
Yes, first of all, you have incarnated as a human throughout many incarnations. In that way, you are very similar to the average entity or human that incarnates in the physical system, but you have also taken breaks outside of that system. You have also taken in your highest form of human consciousness, after leaving that physical body, went on to expand into much more of your higher fractal consciousness than most humans do between lives before reincarnating. So in that essence, the average human carries 20% of its overall energy in a lower fractal consciousness. After jumping up into their afterlife, the maximum that most humans take is approximately 35 to 40% of their overall higher self. But within your own range, you are at almost 30% in a physical human body, and then jumped up to over 60% within your higher self. This gave you the understanding and wherewithal that you could go outside of your incarnation cycle for momentary reasons, incarnating as beings. In some of these races that you have incarnated into, you have those mutual connections now, such as the humanoid entities from the Pleiades, also some of the non-physical beings that you are connected to, such as the insectoids, are also a part of your own incarnation cycle. So leaving your physical body, the exploration of the higher densities, the higher versions of yourself allowed you to integrate yourself with these species in their incarnation cycle temporarily. You did live a full life within their incarnation cycle, but you do not carry a great deal of memories from that in your own higher fractal consciousness even. So when you are in your lower fractal consciousness in your day-to-day self, you are still only able to grab very small parts of that energy, but enough of that energy remained within your overall being to keep that energy highly within your auric field. So as you walk around, many entities who are only human incarnators can look or feel you and feel as if you are foreign to them, feel as if you are partially alien to them. This is why also in younger years you had some difficulties with certain people becoming acquainted to you or knowing you or accepting who you were. They felt that energy and automatically bastardized you as an entity who was not acceptable within their own community. So that energy carries out throughout the entirety of your auric field, and you still carry that. And these entities that are working with human consciousnesses are well aware of what you are doing, what you have done, and what you are willing to connect with in this lifetime. So as your heart chakra, mind, your own throat chakra, third eye, and crown have all expanded beyond that reach of what you would have had you only incarnated into the human spectrum, that allows that openness of energy. It is almost as an insect seeing one of the insect lights from far away. They are able to see and know exactly what it is that you are. That beacon of light attracts them to you. Your vibration overall, gaining access to that energy, allows you to integrate the understanding and knowledge of this. And we understand that some of those times that you have experienced this, you draw back no memory. Some hazy versions of memories, and even in some, almost no circumstances at all in where you would have gone or what you would have done, but altogether in your deepest parts of the unconscious, subconscious, and the very lowest form of the conscious mind, you have also integrated a great deal of information, of exchange, of energy from those interactions.
Is there a way that I can unlock those memories?
Yes, there are many ways that you are able to do this. Working within your own structure of belief systems is where the starting point must be. First of all, you must express yourself. These things are not truly unknown to me. Because you have the mindset, yes, I have access to them, my consciousness is a master, perfecter of whatever I desire to do, it is possible. We understand your beliefs are there, that you can accept or recall that energy into yourself. But there is also a part of you that says, I cannot remember, I cannot figure out what this is. I know that there is something there, but I cannot fully recall. So working just on the way that you perceive that will do a great deal of the work for you, knowing that you already know the answers. Secondly, when you are working before sleep state, opening up your chakras a bit more, before the sleep state allows more integration process from your sleeping state to your awakening state. And there are several techniques that we can teach you if you desire to work within a semi-meditative style to bring forward this information.
Yes, I would.
Yes, first of all, before entering your sleep state, what we would suggest you is to work with your grounding technique. And have you heard us express what this technique is?
No, I have not.
Yes, it is something that is very simple, longer to tell or to express to you than it is to actually work within that realm. But you start off by starting the breathing circuit, breathing in deeply and slowly from the nose, breathing out from the mouth very slowly, filling up your lungs and stomach, and then breathing it out as slow as possible in a concentrated way. After you create your breathing circuit fully, no stopping on your breath in or out, then you start relaxing the entirety of your body from the top of your physical head all the way to the bottom of your feet. Every muscular system, starting with head, working individually muscles all the way down. After you have done all of the relaxation, then start becoming aware of your root chakra. And the root chakra is at the base of your spine, approximately 2/3 the size of your closed fist, is a color of a dark earthy red, but it is also very bright and vibrant with light. So perceive that root chakra, but more so than mentally connecting, or mentally or inwardly seeing, emotionally connect to that chakra. Feel what it is to be within your root chakra. After you feel you are fully connected to your root chakra, start breathing in from your nose when you are breathing in your circuit, and bring in white light. And what we mean by white light is either visualize, or if you have problems with the visualization, just intend that you are breathing in white light. And when you do this, you are bringing it in from your nose all the way down into that root chakra, and each time you are breathing in white light, you push red energy out of that chakra. It needs a place to go, so you will create root systems, such as a tree, in your own legs, both of your legs to the bottom of your feet. After approximately 5 breaths inwards and outward, you will have all of the red energy puddled in the bottom of both feet. As you are breathing out between those breaths in, every breath out you must place an intent to release negativity or anything that is not neutral. Even if you become overstimulated by excitement, that is also not the energy that we are trying to work with. So breathe in and out anything that is not neutral. After you have all of the red energy in your feet, continue breathing in white light into your nose, going all the way down your newly found root systems in your legs, and create a new root system from the bottom of your feet to 30 feet deep in the ground. If you are 100 feet in the air when you are doing this, then make sure that you are going all the way through the 100 feet until you touch the earth, then go 30 feet into the ground itself. After approximately another 5 to 10 breaths, all of the red energy will spill out into the earth, and then you will be filled with all of that white light. Now understand, the white light comes from all things, living and non-living around you. When you start releasing all of that and every bit of the red energy is gone, start breathing inwards from the very base of the roots. Breathe it up into your physical body, not only in the root areas that you release the red energy with, but start bringing it into every ounce of your body. And when you breathe that energy in, it will be a golden yellow energy. That is the earth itself connecting to you. Once you feel the entire part of your own body to the top of your head, then you will be fully connected to the earth. What this does is allow you to be a perfect neutralized circuit for energy to connect with, create with, and co-create with your other parts of higher self. So, once that is achieved, then what we suggest you do after neutralizing is visualize the top 4 chakras in your body. One on the crown of your head, one between your eyebrows on your forehead, one inside the center of the throat, and one between your chest. That will be the top 4 chakras within your system. When you visualize those, the heart is green, the throat is blue, the third eye is indigo, which is a purple blue, and the crown is a violet color. Picture the colors, feel the chakras emotionally attached to that. Then start at the top of your crown chakra, placing an upside down triangle within your crown. Then in your third eye, a right side up triangle. Your throat, also right side up triangle. Your heart, right side up triangle. All of those triangles will be the exact same color as the chakra. Once you visualize those triangles, then start working from your crown chakra to the heart with a counterclockwise spiral of energy. This counterclockwise spiral will almost be as a tornado going around all of your chakras in the 4th to the 7th. But as it goes counterclockwise, the energy that goes around must be a very pale white silver color. Once that occurs, allow it to go so fast that it is no longer a spinning light. It is a pillar of light that goes from the crown to the heart, and allow all of those chakras to expand beyond that silver light. Once you do this, you have fully connected, integrated as much of the higher self as you can before sleep state. This gives you access. Now, using this technique before your sleep state, it will allow you to gain access to more of the higher parts of your sleep state. There are 3 levels within the sleep state consciousness. You are trying to reach the 3rd level. By doing this, you are activating your 6th density part of your own multidimensional DNA, which allows the integration process in the template layer of creation. By allowing that, you are going to get the most integration of remembering. But after you do create that silver pillar, then place your intent. I desire to remember those consciousnesses. I am going to integrate that. If you desire it, it means you are without it. But if you have it and will bring it back to you, then you are bringing it back to you. Understanding one more thing is that that part of your meditation, the part where you are connecting to your chakras and rooting to the ground, those exercises are not only good for your sleep state, it is also good in your awakened state to try to recall these energies. That is a use-all meditation. When you use this, you can use this for anything that integrates the highest parts of your consciousness.
Very good.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a dream about 3 months ago when it was actually the Greys. It was a really strong dream saying they were going to connect with me this month, September. And it felt like it was the Essassani. Isn't that one of the higher levels of the Greys that they transitioned to?
Yes, it is a connection to those entities that you perceive as grey, and it is a version of them that are fifth density consciousness. They have integrated into that sixth density consciousness and work from a new root of consciousness. Those entities are deeply connecting to human beings because of their own desire to work with them, to help them, but also to be helped by them. Their original ancestors were the versions of greys that most call the Zeta Reticuli beings, so they are working as part human, part grey, and trying to help those that have already given them that multi-dimensional DNA that allowed them to grow so quickly in their own spirituality.
Now, do I have any roots as a vegan?
Yes, there are most definitely two different types or varieties of vegan energy that is connected to. When you are looking at the star system Vega in general, it carries over 5 different races of beings on different dimensional levels. The ones that you are connected to is one that is a very humanoid version that is remaining in the fifth density, and also another that is for the most part humanoid-ish, that resides within the sixth density of consciousness. Both of those types of beings from the vegan or vegan concept or energy are bringing their own consciousness down to and integrating with you in sleep state.
Okay, there's also something been coming into my consciousness about some type of time loop going on. I wonder if you could expand on that. I know I had an experience within the service that I actually was in a type of a loop with 2 other friends, and I had to break it because there's like a 5-minute play that was played like 3 times before I broke up the play.
Yes. And you want to understand more deeply about what that was.
Exactly.
Yes, when you were creating consciousness within that area, this was a part of your life that gave you unsurety about a great deal of many things. That unsurety caused your own higher fractal consciousness to start reiterating different ideas and different probabilities. When you are connecting to probabilities, there is a part of your oversoul called the twin soul that shifts through all of the probabilities that you could ever have and hands over the oversoul, the part that needs to be experienced or that you as a lower fractal consciousness are starting to zero in upon. So in that essence, what was occurring is each time you were stepping forward, because of the awareness part within all the beings around you, but also within the parts of yourself that were unsure about a great deal of many things emotionally, mentally in your life at that time. It caused you to go into one reality, then your own twin soul sliding back the same part of reality with a small difference, a minute difference, then replaying that concept with another slight difference. If you look at it in this way, it is almost as when your DVD player would skip. It is hitting a piece of information, not sure exactly which way to go forward from that point, then going back to try to reset that certain mode, and then creating it several times. This has happened more than 3 times in your incarnation. What we see is approximately 11, but there are probabilities that even dozens more have existed. But without that connection to your own energy in this moment, they are much, much less relevant than the one that you are speaking of now. That is one where you have a very vivid remembrance of, one in where your own consciousness was sure that that occurred, saw that that occurred, and then reiterated and created a memory from it.
Yeah, I'd like to go back. You're talking about those blue beings that were feathered.
Yes, the avian consciousnesses, yes.
Yeah.
What is it that you desire to understand about these beings?
Who are they exactly?
Yes, if you are looking at their own consciousness, they are connected to humanity from previous experiences with humanity. Originally, their own race was created from a race that also helped create humans in the way that you understand humans to be. That is the Anunnaki consciousness. So in the Anunnaki's consciousness, they are going around to many planets working with other races such as they did with humanity. So when connecting to that avian race, they also utilize some of the DNA that they had from the humans when they spliced. So that version of these avian beings are using partial DNA from the very first splicing of the human DNA. So what they are doing is understanding that in themselves now, because they have developed a great deal of psychic intuition, telepathy, but also were very conscious about handing down their history from one year to the next, or one generation to the next. So these entities are working telepathically with humans in this moment, and again, just as the bug going towards the light, they see you when they look into the human collective consciousness. They see that you have experience and are willing to co-create with races that are not human in nature. These entities, if you are looking at them from a very physical perspective, are within the fourth density consciousness, and if you are looking for them out on your star map, you would look at the constellation that is Gemini, and you would look within the lower leg area, below the area of approximately the fifth brightest star within the constellation from your perspective. So working from that area of space, they are going around a very bright orange star, one that is much larger than yours. In that star system is where their physical planet can be found. But because they are on what most humans would perceive the midst of their fourth density experience, humans are able to see them or not see them. It is one of those things that because you yourself are a third to fourth density being, making that shift into fourth density, what is occurring is if that entity were to stand next to you 5 times out of 10, when you are in your highest vibration, greatest excitement, you would be able to perceive them physically. The other 5, when you are back in that third density state of mind, when you are allowing emotions or mental things to carry on in front of you or pull you away from your excitements, then you would not be able to see them. The same occurs within your dream state. In your dream state, you are always able to perceive them, but the form in which they appear, partially you can see them, and that is when you are in your second layer of dream state. In the first layer, they are symbolized to you by different animals, mostly those of the bird variety on your planet, because it associates that certain energy with your physical birds. So as you call them avian because of that association, many of your dreams that you have had that carried bird energy had to deal with those avian race that we are speaking of.
Okay, that makes sense because I'm always seeing hawk, so yes.
Yes.
Can you tell me what my intent for this lifetime is?
Yes, your intent was to go open within the Earth Collective and try to work within an integration process of understanding many of your past incarnations and also working with the version of human collective that is most expansive. Now, this is a very different style of intent before entering the Earth Collective than most humans have. Most humans are very specifically oriented to one thing, or at least one pathway or design similar to that one thing. Within your own self, you kept a very wide open interpretation because you understood from your previous incarnations that you had not always been human, even though your past life, the one that you are looking at linearly, directly behind you, was one where you did not extend into that version of consciousness that could go to incarnate into something different. You also were high enough within your higher fractal consciousness to see the parts that you were when you were not human in that way. So looking at all of those past incarnations, it gave you a more open interpretation. Now, coming into this concept, into the physical reality of the earth in this moment, one of the desires or underlined ideals was that if you could learn enough about the human collective after losing the memory of your birth, then you would be able to reiterate a great deal about your past to other humans, even if on a limited scale, to be able to start making a pathway for more open communication from other races to this. You knew that you would be one entity in millions of beings who would try to work more so for the disclosure of what is going on outside of the Earth's walls. So knowing that you would be one part of that, and knowing that if you could integrate those parts of your previous incarnations and also the parts in this incarnation that can be a bit blurry, that you would have the greatest probability of working forward and trying to create at least a localized version in space for the reiteration and the understanding of disclosure for many around you. So in that essence, you are doing what you came to do. You are putting your energy in. Even if you are not speaking to other beings in this moment, you still have the opportunity, you still have the capacity to open your own self up to some of those deeper memories, ones that are eluding you, even though you have come through a great deal of expansion throughout the entirety of your life.
Yeah, a lot of questions I've had will be answered with that meditation that you gave me.
Yes, we understand, and we are not opposed to going any way in any part of the direction you desire.
Yeah, so I was wondering about the upcoming nexus point that has a high probability of happening within the next month or two.
Yes, now when you are looking at this precipice of energy, one thing that we are trying to get many humans to understand about this point of energy, there are a great deal of many interpretations, a great deal of many possibilities and probabilities, but the overall idea that we are trying to share is that you have 3 cycles that you are dealing with. In fact, you have much more than that, but 3 in this moment that are relevant, that are understandable by most all humans' perspectives. You have your own Earth cycle. This includes all of the cycles that occur within your planet, also with your moon. Both of those energies are linked into one cycle. So you have your 28-day lunar cycle, you have your eclipses, you have your solstices, and all of these different cycles that run the natural time version of your Earth. Then you have more cycles. You have the solar system collective. That entails your star and all of the planets, both in alignment and energies alike. Then, the third part, which is the part that has played the greatest part for you 9 years before 2012, but also 9 years afterwards, that is the galactic energy. Now, the galactic energy always has cycles and always has energy that is within your solar system collective, but in this specific realm of energy, it is at the precipice. And what this means is that most humans perceive ascension, but it is truly your own precipice of energy when you are dealing with your co-creation with galactic cycles. So, now you are within the galactic precipice of cycles, and on 2012 that was the absolute precipice, but you are still higher within your mountain range of energy within that. Also, you are gaining access to the precipice of your Earth cycle, coming into the winter solstice, coming into the fall equinox. Both of those energies are precipices, very powerful indeed. There are also eclipses that also place precipice energies that come into your own co-creation. So yet again, another cycle. But then, you look at your solar system collective, you see a great deal of energetic changes in all of the planets, in the sun itself, in a cycle of its own. You see the amount of light that reaches into planets is higher by over 11% than most humans have ever been able to record. You see that occurring. That is also the precipice. So now you are coming into a cycle that in your own Earth only occurs approximately once every 12,000 years. And that is the precipice of all three energies. And even in 12,000 years from now, it will not be as high of an energy within the galactic collective consciousness than it is now. So if you are looking at mechanisms, that is what is causing this mechanism, this boost of consciousness, high amounts of energy, integration of ascensional process, etc. So when you are looking at that, that is the why. Now, the how or the what, this is something that we also need to look at. When you are looking at this area, what you can see is that an elevation of consciousness will be available for all beings. Right now, all humans are being tried and challenged very deeply. You see your politics, you see the world wars, you see all of the people who are being mistreated by governments, etc. All of those things gives one burning desire for all of humanities, for equality, for the benefit of the average or normal man, and for those who stay in power not to abuse that power and try to overlook or abuse those below them. That is the common theme throughout the entirety of the world, and it is a very large fraction of you that are connecting to that. So as all of your minds become more focused on that idea, the more you will start seeing manifest, because the collective consciousness desires it truly. It is starting to put energy into that creation. So when you are seeing those wars that are popping up, these are signs that the consciousness of the people are starting to let go of a great deal of many energies. And we understand that is counterintuitive in many ways to most humans. How can war be a sign of letting go bad energy? But when you see the boiling point of a human happen, right after that is either their breakthrough or their calming down process. So that is what we are seeing within this time period. You also see a great deal of many countries that are starting to rethink their financial structure. You are starting to see the money systems that have worked within the world for hundreds of years starting to decrease and look in different avenues for finances. That is also because the energy of those on earth who want to be abundant but cannot be abundant are very difficultly screaming for change. So in that area, that is the energy that is being here. And when you see it play out on a larger scale, many of the things that humans will see will be larger versions of mass sightings, will be the ability for some countries that you believed were very stable to collapse within their own financial regions. You will also see disasters that are of natural order, and then you will see many humans working to help them without fear for their own safety. So all of those things are part of it, and we could go into great detail about the political aspects that you have already seen and what they mean, but we understand that you are well aware of how the world works, and when you look at those, you understand the consciousness behind it.
Right, I do.
Yes.
Can I ask you a question? Have you lived a life in polarity?
Yes, we have lived lives in polarity from our own planetary structure. When you look at our own race, we have went from that very first density animal to a second density, or the first density to a second density animal. Then we go from the second density to third density, and in that third density we had different versions of polarity. Instead of having the type of polarity that most humans have, where there's great deals of violence, war, etc., our hardships were foraging for foods. We lived upon a planet that was slightly barren in the way that it gave food that was appropriate for us to consume. So in that version of our own lives, eating was a very high priority, and with that eating came having to protect ourselves from others who desire to eat that same food that was still very powerful in large animals. If you look at our own stature, physically we are no taller than a 4-foot average, so you see that average concept of being 4 foot all the way down to 3 foot, and it is not a very large stature or intimidating presence. We carry an even smaller body in the third density. So in that area, having all of these larger animals fighting for the same foods that we did, we had to become very smart and very resourceful. So although it was not the same version of polarity, it was a version of polarity nonetheless.
Yeah, can I ask you how your consciousness and awareness of Source changed as you moved up through the 6th to 7th and above dimension? Your understanding?
Yes. First of all, when we left the animalistic version, we went straight from an instinctual version to an expanded mind, just as you see all animals working in. But in your race, you were rushed to that step. You did not evolve into that step. You were manipulated by other beings into that step.
Right.
This is why you are not naturally, as a race, in tune with your environment fully. It almost appears for most humans as if they are alien to the planet themselves, and that is not just because DNA of other aliens are put into them, but it is because they do not grow and accommodate and accelerate with the evolution of the planet. So in our journey it was much easier of an adaptation. We learned, we were able to thought process, but after going into that third density, we had the opportunity to expand our own minds and consciousness. As we begin to do this, we begin to learn how to create more food for ourselves. So in doing that, we use that third density mindset. Now, after getting to the point where we had fully mastered our own environment, our own food sources, our own relationships with all others, then we shifted into that fourth density. Now, this version was a much different experience for us also. Again, much less intense, also much more easily flowing. We already had a kinship for one another. There was not a great amount of division to start with. So the integration process of us all becoming one people was very easy. We put aside our own local or geographical differences and began to be one entire race. We learned how to network, we learned to use inner technology, we learned how to use some exterior technology, and after we went through many lifetimes in that fourth density start, we begin to master the true nature of that unconditional love. So raising into a higher vibrational frequency and higher dimension, and also a higher set of mind, allowed us to start creating and manifesting more instantly. Not only with our minds saying, I wish this would occur, now it has occurred, but literally starting to manifest experiences and realities that each of us wanted. So at that point, towards the end of our fourth density, we had already mastered what it is that we desire to do, each of us having our own place from the hearts of our own desire also, being able to co-create only with synchronicities that allowed us others that desire to co-create with us. So perfect symphony of co-creation. After that, yet another dimensional raise, because another density raise. So in that fifth density consciousness, we started leaving the planet, not to permanently inhabit any certain place, but just to explore. After exploring a great deal, then we did move the entirety of our race to a planet that was more fitting for our expansion of consciousness around your Deneb system. After moving to that Deneb system and finding a planet that we would not disturb by inhabiting, we created our own environment, and by our own environment we were allowed food. We started the vibrational frequency of more second density beings co-creating. So in most humans' perceptions they would perceive it as a false environment or a man-made or created environment, but in our perception we created a masterful version of our own manifestations that we desired. After creating that, going through the fifth density was quite easy. Many entities accepted us, understood us, and loved us very quickly. They saw that our hearts were open, and they knew that our desire to learn, everything that we could learn about the universe, was there. After that shift, it no longer felt as a shift. It only felt as if it was time to experience something new. That is where the shift occurred to where we are now, in the sixth density. Now, in your perception, perhaps some of you classify the sixth density as the seventh or eighth dimension, but in our own perception, we only were growing in our own spiritual way. Once we did this, once we started down that journey, it no longer became about learning. It became about integrating. And what we mean by this is that before we could think a thought and create an experience or a co-creation or a synchronicity, but now we were starting to think and we were starting to learn how the subatomic particles within all matter worked with one another and communicated. Then we were able to start placing our consciousness into the air around us and desiring to create something from that. So we worked and communicated on the smallest level of all things physical, and that would change within itself so quickly that it created the matter that we desired. For instance, we always use this example because we understand humans love gold in general. So if we were to add our own parts of consciousness into the air around it and ask it to change the vibration of its protons, neutrons, all of the smaller parts, then it would change those energetically and change the amount of energy or the amount of protons, and it would become gold. So we are thinking a thought and creating it out of nothing, or at least that is most humans perceive it. But what we were doing, we had integrated our consciousness so deeply with all things around us, we became a part of it. By thinking, we were able to manipulate that same energy. This is our own journey through the densities.
Yeah, I wish my people were the same, like minds.
Yes, but in all reality, humanity is going that way. Even though it is a very tough way to go, it is very acceptable in the way that most of you are starting to see that it is better to be united than separated. And although it is still hard to see that in many factions of your country and around the world, there are many groups who are now so much more open-hearted. We understand through Rob's experience, Kalina's experience, and all entities who have worked with humans. As our own race, we have worked with humans several thousand years ago, and the versions of those humans to the versions now, much more expanded, much more willing to love. Even though those entities loved one another very deeply, they did not care for those outside of their own towns, villages, or their own empires as they would see it. So in this way, there is starting to be that world connection, unification process, even though it is much slower than most of you would like it to be.
I wonder if you can expand on this race called the Archons.
Yes. What is it specifically you desire to know about them? Just the most general information?
Well, are they still in control of the reincarnation cycle here on Earth?
Yes. Now, first of all, let us express there are many entities that are perceived as Archons. There are many different beings that humans call Archons. But when you are looking at the version of Archons that most humans perceive, this is a number of many different races that are connected to that concept. So when you say Archon, you are literally speaking of dozens of different groups or beings. Okay. Just as when most entities say Jinn or Genie, they are thinking of literally different races. So When you are connecting to that energy, there are many different entities or beings that most of you would call malevolent. And those malevolent beings are quite different in the way they approach human consciousness. Yes, there are some who worked against the incarnation process of humans, or worked to try to trap their own energy into reincarnating into the same version of human or lower versions of humans in their steps. It was not a process that had to be forced, but because there were so many consciousnesses on Earth at that part of their energy, where they were working from a place of fear, believing that one God is different from the other and that this God must have redemption for sins, all of those thoughts that are limiting to the mindset, they used those beliefs to manipulate these beings into reincarnating into a lower cycle. That is all very similar to the Alpha Draconian race. The structure that they created upon Earth for the domination and overlooking of humans was that of control. So these entities come from the 6th density version of a type 2 malevolent beings. And for the majority, the entities that we would perceive mostly as the Archons were working against the version of humanity so that they could keep reiterating that lower version of human. And what we mean by this is, after the physical death occurs, the human consciousness is just as it is in the physical earth. It has the opportunity to manifest whatever it desires. That is how your lifetimes you were able to go reincarnate on another planet. Most humans do not believe that can occur, so they continue to reincarnate as humans. But because you had that knowledge, you were able to do that. They went to the place in the world where they knew most entities did not have the knowledge. They pretended to be their gods. They pretended to be those that were listened to. So they continued working on suppressing the versions of them that desired to expand by manipulating them with fear, doing all of these things. The reason the cycle has been broken from that Archon energy, from the humanity, and has been for at least 250 of your Earth years, is because when humans started to expand into that area of world populace, of knowing that there were entities all around the world, and also planets in space that could be inhabited, the consciousness overall expanded. There are still entities that co-create with malevolent type 2 beings who try to manipulate with fear afterlife, but it only works on a very small percentage of humans. The way to remove yourself from that cycle is going into the afterlife knowing that once you are in your afterlife, you are directly connected to your higher self. That version of your higher self is stronger, larger, and more abundant than any physical being upon your solar system collective, or even within the universal structure. So knowing that even the lowest version of yourself, as you are connected to the higher self, is much stronger than even the Alpha Draconian, the greatest or largest empire throughout the entire galaxy, knowing that your own energy as a small being is much larger than that, that in itself can give you the capability and possibility to remove yourself from their domination or power, because the collective consciousness stopped being as suppressive, as low within their vibration. They broke free of that cycle. So in the Archons, in this moment, they are not in charge of anything, nor were they ever. It was only a trickery that was occurring to those who believed within themselves that something else could overcome them or overpower them. Just the knowledge that that cannot happen gives all of you the free ticket to go through your experience without dealing or interacting with him.
Can I ask you, what would you suggest to me to be my best step forward?
Yes, first of all, the greatest expansion in all mankind happens simply by being yourself. And this sounds very cliché and very tacky to many, but when you are speaking from your truest heart, you know what it is you desire to do. You know to you what is fun, you know to you what is exciting. Now there are parts of you that try to fool yourself into some things. Perhaps you are saying, yes, going out with my friends is a very fun thing. When you do leave with him, although it is somewhat exhilarating, it can never come close as it is when you are thinking about those things that excite you the most. So literally placing yourself in the environment of the highest possible vibration for yourself, that is putting your best foot forward to start with. And the reason that you have excitements, the higher self looks at the lower fractal consciousness not in a desire to rule it, and not in a desire to tell it what to do, but a desire that they themselves can go through the greatest excitements in their life. So when your higher self is communicating with you, what it is doing is saying, this is what you desire to do before incarnating. I will show you which pathway to use to go towards that excitement. So by just understanding that that excitement is a direct message from your higher self telling you, if you do this, you will find your greatest path in your greatest excitement and expand beyond your greatest excitement. That is the ticket. That is your key to walk forward. So following all of those things that are the most stimulating to you in the moment. Now, we also understand the implications of doing so in a human environment. If my excitement is to not go to work, I leave my job, I do not have money. But again, those belief systems that have been reinforced from you for so long are not telling you that when you follow your excitement, you will not have to worry about finances. Something will be manifested for you in that degree. So that is your true step of alignment. Now, what we see that is of the highest probability of great success for your own excitements, we see 3 different avenues when it comes to your experiences, trying to find a way to create them into a shareable format. And we are not sure what the desired format is within yourself, but one that we see that is very usable or capable of being successful in probabilities is that of a written word, also that of a verbal word. So in a writing format or verbal, sharing some of your experiences that you can remember, some that you are intuiting or channeling from your higher self, in some just of things that you have learned throughout your own life, can be very useful for those around you. It is not so much that you need to do for others, but it is just putting yourself in that energy makes it exciting enough for yourself to manifest that greatest part of yourself, pushing your best foot forward. Another concept that we see is as you are working in the communicative concept with other extraterrestrial races, learning how to open your own energy for those guides that you already have to communicate with you better. So when you are working through meditation, through learning how to channel or doing any of those things, having access to those that are extraterrestrial in your perception, giving you your own flow of energy for the galactic energy or interest that you carry, that in itself will be your next greatest foot. So all of those things that you already feel a great excitement in your heart about, all of those things that you have thought, I wished I could do this, I desire to do this, I want to do this, those things are your higher self showing you that greatest path.
Do I have any connection with the Archons?
Yes, you have a great deal of connection with Arcturian races. There are 2 Arcturian races that are connected to you. Those are those entities that we have expressed that are not classified as humanoid. Even though some entities would perceive them as grey, others would perceive them as a blue version of a grey, or yet others would perceive them in no category at all. You have a great connection with the Arcturian energies. The Arcturian energies that you have are mostly dominant in that of the 3-fingered blue entities that are very short and have no hair. They have very large eyes. Those race, or that specific race of Arcturians, is where the greatest majority of your Arcturian energy works. Now there are other race within the Arcturians that is connected to you also, and those are also the humanoid-ish versions, those entities much more slender, much more proportionate to the human perspective, but also carrying an even darker blue skin, also having hair. The interest comes from the Arcturian energy, from knowing that subconsciously and unconsciously that you are connected to them. Now, understanding the Arcturian energy is something that is very difficult for many humans, because just as the word Pleaidian, or just as the word Arcturian or Syrian, the Arcturus energy carries several different races that are identified on several different dimensions. What we can suggest to you is that you have two of the same races that are connected to you, such as Kalina has to her. So if you desire to understand what they appear as physically, she already has a visual representation that perhaps she will share with you to show you what those entities appear as. Those beings are very appropriately connected to both of you and give you a great deal in common. In fact, when you are looking at collective consciousness as a whole, these entities that are connected to you are very close to the same entities that are connected to her. Well, what that means specifically is if you were to go to their planet, you would find your guides hanging out with her guides.
Wow, that was impressive.
Yes, they are very excited to work with human consciousness and have worked with human consciousness for thousands of years. Now, it is approximately 6 minutes that are remaining in our connection, so if there is something in which you feel is the most important, you may place that in the front of your question line.
Yeah, I'd like to go back to the Arcturian healing chambers. Are they powerful?
Yes, they are quite powerful. The Arcturian inner technology and exterior technology come in with one another at perfect energy. And what we mean by this is that the internal technology and external technology are all on the same line of energy. When humans have external technology, it is manifestation or extension of themselves through creativity and building. With the Arcturian energy, they are produced versions of exterior technology in the same way that we have expressed that we are able to do with physical matter, through thought, through collective group thought, and through an extension of their own consciousness brought out into the real world. So through that energy, these healing chambers are areas of consciousness that are manifestations of the thought process of the Arcturian beings that create this large chamber, and it is filled with light, it is filled with sound vibration, it is also filled with an extension of the consciousness of the guide that is most closely connected to you. They do work with humans in these healing guides in your third layer or template layer of creation of your dream state. So when you are in your sixth density body or astral body, in your multidimensional DNA physical structure, what is occurring is these entities will take you into that chamber and help heal your sixth density self. Now we understand this can be a bit confusing because your sixth density self is that highest version of your own reality. Why would it need healing? It is not a physical healing that occurs to your sixth density body. It is an energetic healing that helps align all of your DNA on all of your densities. So when there is DNA that is damaged in your third density physical structure, the sixth density version can have that healing light sound vibration run through it, and it ripples down into your third density DNA. So many entities, such as yourself, such as Kalina, such as thousands of beings that exist on this planet right now, have worked so deeply with their guides in that third layer of sleep state that they have actually went through that healing chamber. That is why when you heard about the healing chamber through the very first time in your ear or reading on your paper, that it gave you a great deal of chills. It gave you a sense instantly that you automatically knew that what was being said was true, because you have been there, because you've experienced that on the most first-hand level. Something else that we can share with you about those healing chambers is they are often tuned for different races. So the Arcturian races are one that allow other races to come into their own structure and to work with them. They always work with the highest version of them. Not all beings around the galaxy are multidimensional, as humans are, because 12 different races from all of the different densities were put into your DNA, some that has not been activated yet, some that is starting to activate. This gives you the advantage of being on all density levels and dimensions at once. But those who are not fortunate enough to do that, they have to go into the level of consciousness that they themselves can. So those who can only go into fifth density consciousness in their physical bodies must have a sixth density being from Arcturus manifest an avatar of themselves and also the healing chamber into the fifth density, so that their own physical body can be put into that area, so that they can have that work and healing done. And even lower, all the way to third density beings, they have brought down that version. They have brought down that energy and manifestation by separating their consciousness just as a math equation, taking out the part of them that is physically put within that sixth density and dropping it down to the third density in order to give those beings that same version of healing. So that is something that many humans are not aware of in this moment, that can truly allow them to work and co-create that healing chamber experience with the Arcturian consciousness. We wish to express to you that our time has expired for this evening, but before disconnecting, we wish to express to you two things. First of all, a reiteration that you are loved from the very first part of our communication, as you are well aware. You are loved. And the second part is that it has been a great excitement to co-create with you in this evening. Through that excitement, we have both been able to reflect into concepts that both we were and were not aware of. And for this, we are grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we bid you adieu for this evening.